year-end event, you can lease this 2017 Jetta S for just $149 a month.
Good morning, America. Desperate rescue. 17 hikers trapped by dangerous flash floods, including a 4-year-old boy. A helicopter swoops in, airlifting them to safety. The race to save those still stuck this morning as the flash flood emergency spreads from the Midwest to the Northeast. Cars and neighborhoods underwater.
Breaking new details in that deadly human smuggling case. At least 9 people dead. Dozens more fighting for their lives this morning. The driver now heading to court after more than 100 people were discovered packed into this tractor trailer in a Walmart parking lot.
Jared Kushner on Capitol Hill this morning. His new statement overnight revealing what he'll tell investigators in that closed-door interview. As the Russia investigation takes aim at President Trump's inner circle, he lashes out, blasting the investigation and his own party.
And the Olympic golden boy versus a great white. Michael Phelps coming up short trying to outswim a shark. Why some are frustrated over how he did it. Massive reaction pouring in overnight, and what Phelps is now saying about a rematch.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
We do say good morning, America. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Michael Phelps is not used to taking a silver.
No, he is not, especially against a computer, which had a lot of people talking on Twitter. It was actually a computer-generated shark, not a real one. A lot of people felt had on that one.
They did, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But first, it was a very busy day. A lot of anticipation for Jared Kushner's interview with Senate Intelligence Committee investigators.
Yeah, let's take a live look at Capitol Hill right now. Kushner's going to be speaking to the Senate Intelligence Committee behind closed doors today. He just released the statement he's going to give them. He denied any collusion with the Russians, detailed his context. We'll have more on that in a moment.
But first, we're going to begin with that dangerous flash flooding across the Southwest, trapping at least 17 hikers, including a 4-year-old boy. In Arizona overnight, rescuers on the scene. They're trying to pull them to safety. And floods also causing problems in the Midwest. ABC's Alex Perez is in hard-hit Illinois with the details. Good morning, Alex.
Hey, good morning, Robin. Take a look around me here. Residents have been desperately trying to keep water out of this neighborhood, but as you can see, it is an uphill battle, and it's just not here. There are more than 400 reports of severe weather across the country.
Heroic rescue near Tucson, Arizona. 17 hikers stranded in raging floodwaters. The Sheriff's County chopper racing against time to save them. Watch as they lower a line to rescue a person trapped in the rising tide, hoisting them to safety. Then immediately go back. 2 men remain trapped on a ledge. The conditions too unsafe for the chopper to retrieve them. Severe storms wreaking havoc across the country this morning. Delaware receiving more than 8 inches of rain overnight. 3 people rescued when this car nearly buried under quickly rising water. The damage devastating in northern Kentucky.
Looks like it got pushed right into the building. Look at that.
A look from above shows this home dangling over a river. The living room now visible from outside. The house nearly 2 football fields away from its foundation.
Looked up and our house is down the creek now.
The storms submerging cars, sending this pickup truck 20 yards from where it was parked.
For this area, this is pretty devastating.
This morning, a desperate search for a man whose home was swept away. Crews digging through 2 miles of debris.
It's going to take time to go through everything.
And here in Algonquin, Illinois, they're not in the clear just yet. The river here expected to remain swollen above flood stage through at least Wednesday morning. Robin?
All right, Alex, thank you. Let's go right to Ginger, who's tracking the system and where it's heading next. Good morning, Ginger.
Good morning, Robin. I want to show you what happened early this morning. So just hours ago, this is Kent Island, Maryland. That same storm system moving through, and that looks like apparent tornado damage. They're going to do the survey later today, and we'll find out exactly what it was. But horrible to wake up to and tough for them to be cleaning up after. That same rain causing flash flooding, more than 7 inches of rain falling in parts of Delaware. I'll kind of get in a little closer here on the radar, and you can see Connecticut feeling it now. And really, as we go through the rest of the morning hours, it's going to be the Cape, it's going to be Rhode Island, and parts of upstate New York that are going to end up seeing 2 to even 3 inches of rainfall very fast. Robin and George?
All right, Ginger.
A lot of that coming in. Now to the start of a busy week in Washington. Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor, speaking with the Senate Intelligence Committee in a closed-door session on Capitol Hill this morning. Overnight, he released a statement detailing contacts with Russian officials but denying any collusion. This as Congress prepares to vote on sanctions punishing Russia for meddling in the election. New White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders told me on This Week that President Trump will sign the bill, which also gives Congress the power to block him from easing sanctions. And the president is set to speak out on health care today, one day ahead of the Senate's last-ditch effort to revive the repeal of Obamacare. No indication yet that they have the votes or even know which measure they will be voting on. Let's get the latest now on Jared Kushner from our chief White House correspondent, Jonathan Karl. Good morning, John.
Good morning, George. In that just released 11-page statement, Kushner is emphatic in his denial, saying, quote, "I did not collude nor know of anyone else in the campaign who colluded with any foreign government. I had no improper contacts. I have not relied on any Russian funds to finance my business activities." Hopefully, he concludes, this puts matters to rest.
This morning, Jared Kushner answers questions for the first time from investigators leading the probe into Russian meddling in the election. With an office just steps from the Oval Office, the low-key Kushner is one of the president's top advisors, soft-spoken and rarely heard in public.
I wanted to welcome everyone to the White House today.
Now he's a key figure in the Russia investigation. He was at that meeting in Trump Tower that Don Jr. set up with a Russian lawyer who was said to have dirt on Hillary Clinton from the Russian government. The committee will also want to talk to him about his own meetings during the transition with the Russian ambassador and a Russian banker, meetings he did not immediately disclose.
We have a lot of ground to cover, so we expect this is just going to be the first interview.
But new White House Communications Director Anthony Scaramucci says Kushner simply doesn't have much to say about the Russia issue.
I predict that will be the last time Jared Kushner talks about the Russians. Okay, well, so he'll be done testifying. There's nothing to the story, and we'll be moving on.
President Trump appears increasingly fixated on the story, tweeting Sunday about the phony Russian witch hunt and complaining that Republicans are doing very little to protect their president. And the president alarmed some in Congress over the weekend by declaring his, quote, complete power to pardon family, aides, and maybe even himself. That prompted the top Democrat in the Senate to issue a stern warning to the president.
If he fired Mueller or pardoned himself or someone close to him under investigation, I think it would cause a cataclysm in Washington.
In his statement, Jared Kushner also says he had hardly any contact whatsoever with Russians during the campaign. In fact, regarding the Russian ambassador, he says the day after the election, he actually sent somebody an email asking, what is the ambassador's name? Because, Robin, he could not recall it.
All right, John, thank you very much. And we're going to have more on this because more on those new sanctions that are punishing Russia. The rare bipartisan effort is expected to pass Congress with an overwhelming majority. It's also a challenge, as you know, to President Trump. Our congressional correspondent, Mary Bruce, has more details. She's there on Capitol Hill for us. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Robin. Yeah, Congress is sending the president a harsh message about Russia. Republicans and Democrats together have now reached a deal to slap Moscow with tough sanctions. This is punishment for its election meddling and its aggression towards its neighbors. But this bill would also sharply limit the president's ability to lift or ease any sanctions. It's a pretty remarkable move by this Republican-led Congress to handcuff the president, and a move that the White House opposes. But this morning they're signaling that the president will support this bill despite his previous objections.
Yeah, because his hands really seem tied here, Mary.
Yet, Robin, the president, it seems, is likely to sign this bill and impose these new sanctions because he doesn't really have much of a choice here. If he were to veto this bill, it would certainly only add more fuel to this Russia fire. And it seems Congress will have the votes to overturn any veto anyways. Now, Robin, the House is expected to pass this bill tomorrow, and it could be on the president's desk before the August recess. Robin.
We'll see what happens
there. Robin, let's get more on all this now from our chief political analyst, Matthew Dowd, our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams. And Matt, let me begin with you. The president may not want to sign this bill on Russia sanctions, but he really is, as Robin said, has no choice. He is tweeting about it as well, seems upset. Says it's very sad that Republicans, even some that were carried over the line on my back, do very little to protect their president. As the phony Russian witch hunt continues, two groups are laughing at this excuse for a lost election, Democrats and Russians. The president feeling the heat.
Well, he's definitely feeling the heat, and this is the first probably bipartisan bill of this Congress, and it's aimed directly at Donald Trump and his supposed inability to sort of hold Russia accountable in this. The funny thing about that tweet, George, as you and I have talked about, is in the 4 key states, Iowa, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, all of the GOP senators that ran and won won with the bigger margins than Donald Trump did in that. I think Donald Trump's in a situation right now where Republicans who have been steadfast in defending him now are beginning to peel away.
Okay, Dan Abrams, let's talk about Jared Kushner's testimony. Pretty detailed testimony right there, detailing 4 contacts, denying any collusion. The big question now is, will the story hold up when others testify as well?
Well, that's the most important question, because even if it's not under oath, even if this is effectively a kind of off-the-record conversation, he could still later be charged for making misrepresentations to Congress, for example. That's a big if. That would mean he had to be saying something that was later disproven or proven to be misleading, etc. But there are a number of different issues, and they actually section them off in his statement that he's trying to cover. Everything from the reason that he made omissions in his security clearance to all of his contact with Russian and other foreign officials. The statement in and of itself is not going to create any bombshells. The question is going to be, what are the questions that are asked back and forth, and does it stand up?
Yeah, what does Mueller do with him as well? Also, a lot of talk over the weekend over whether the president has the power to pardon himself, whether he's been discussing it, whether he would pardon people like Jared Kushner if they got into trouble. Let's focus on this question. Does the president have the power to pardon himself?
Probably. And let's separate. So? Yeah, I do. When you're talking about, let's separate out the criminal versus the political. On the criminal side, does the president have the power to pardon himself? Probably. But what does that mean? That means that if he were to pardon himself, he could just protect himself against potentially a criminal charge. You could do it both preemptively, but you have to know the charge itself. You can't just say, I'm pardoning myself against anything that anyone may say about me. There has to be a specific charge that you are then saying you are pardoning yourself from. It's never happened, it's never been done, and there would be political ramifications and potential impeachment.
No question about that. And Matt, very quickly, if the president did do something like that, if he had the power, as Chuck Schumer said yesterday, a cataclysm.
Oh, it'd be a huge cataclysm. He'd be further off the fairway than Jordan Spieth was on number 13 yesterday before he won the British Open. This would be a huge political problem. Legal, it's a debate. Politically, it would be awful for the president. It would probably directly lead to impeachment if he was to pardon himself.
Matt Dowd, Dan Abrams, thanks very much. Robert?
And George, we're going to move on now to the fight against ISIS and the battle to take back a key city in Syria under its control. Raqqa became the effective ISIS capital in 2014. Now, Syrian forces are moving in, and ABC's Ian Pannell has gone deeper into Raqqa and the battle against ISIS than any other U.S. broadcaster, and he joins us now from that region. Good morning, Ian.
Robin, with Mosul pretty much done, Raqqa in Syria is where ISIS is making its last stand. Don't underestimate how important this is. We're talking the capital of ISIS, and the outcome matters to America, Europe, and the people who live here.
Raqqa, Syria, ground zero in the war against ISIS, where US-backed forces are locked in a fight to the death. ISIS snipers have killed many here, and moving quickly is the only option. We moved up to the front line with local fighters. The going is as slow in this battle as it is dangerous.
Well, as you can hear, the battle for Raqqa is ongoing. You've got local forces backed by the United States taking the battle to ISIS militants. We've heard the sound of gunfire, drones overhead, and coalition airstrikes every few minutes.
And here on the front line, we met an American sniper, a young volunteer from California.
If a member of ISIS was in this room right now with all of us, what chance would he give you or me? None.
No part of you that's scared, nervous, anxious at any point?
No, not really. I came here for this, you know? I've been waiting years for this. This is the final stand-up fight between us and them. After them, you know, that's it.
For many, this is a calling, a chance to reclaim the streets from ISIS for good.
That's enough for today.
Privately, coalition commanders admit this battle could drag on for months. No doubt local forces are committed, but they're under-equipped to fight ISIS. And as we saw last week in Syria, America's allies are suffering heavy casualties. Robin.
We did see that, Ian, and you can see more of Ian's frontline reporting on abcnews.com and World News Tonight with David Muir.
That is remarkable stuff. We're going to get the latest now. New details this morning about that human smuggling tragedy in Texas, where a tractor trailer with more than 100 people inside was discovered in a Walmart parking lot. At least 9 people died inside the truck. ABC's Kenneth Moten has the latest from San Antonio.
This morning, one of the worst cases of human smuggling in Texas. Dozens of undocumented immigrants suffering from intense triple-digit heat. 9 people, all men, dead.
the tortured way, the way these individuals experience the last few moments of their lives is really just shocking to the heart of our entire city.
Immigration agents say as many as 100 people were packed inside the big rig with no air conditioning, parked outside a San Antonio Walmart. A concerned employee alerting police.
These people were in that trailer without any signs of any type of water, so you're looking at a lot of heat stroke, a lot of dehydration.
First responders rushing 30 victims, including 2 children, to the hospital, 17 in critical condition, some suffering from traumatic brain injuries. The suspected driver, James Matthew Bradley of Florida, arrested, expected in court this morning.
All were victims of ruthless human smugglers, indifferent to the well-being of their fragile cargo.
Overnight, vigils and a growing memorial. The immigrants reportedly from Mexico and Central America. With the U.S.-Mexico border just 150 miles away, Homeland Security vowing to root out smugglers and dismantle their networks.
Investigators say surveillance cameras in this Walmart parking lot captured dozens of people jumping out of that truck into waiting cars. Some even ran into nearby woods, George. Also, ICE agents are now searching for those immigrants. We're told that later this morning, that driver expected to be in court. George.
Okay, Ken, it's just a horrible story. Thanks very much. Amy here with today's other top headlines. Some deadly violence in Afghanistan.
That's right, and the Taliban claiming responsibility for a horrific ripped through Kabul this morning, killing at least 24 people. A car packed with explosives rammed a bus filled with Afghan government employees, all heading to work. The bus was destroyed. Dozens of people were also wounded, including children on that bus. Well, new images are now revealing how John McCain is handling his brain cancer diagnosis. He tweeted this photo of he and a friend relaxing in the creek at his Arizona ranch. His daughter Megan also sharing a photo of the pair after a hike over the weekend. And 23-year-old Texan Jordan Spieth winning the British Open over the weekend. This was his 3rd major tournament win. Next stop, the PGA Championship, but not before a healthy round of celebrating. You see him right there taking a very large swig. Wow, he's still going. From the official claret jug behind fellow player Justin Thomas. All right, congratulations to him. And some new video just in. The USS Constitution left dry dock in Boston overnight after more than 2 years of restoration. It's the oldest commissioned warship in the world. It was launched 220 years ago. It reopens to the public this September. And finally, we all know Marines are tough, but that doesn't mean their children don't have a softer side. Check out 4-year-old Gage Newville. He's giving a tear-soaked hug to senior airman Emily Newville. She and Gage's dad, Sergeant Joshua Newville, tied the knot on Saturday in Western New York. Gage got emotional after he heard vows from his new stepmom that she wrote just for him. She said, "I may not have given you the gift of life, but life has given me the gift of you." It was so sweet. Oh, if you can watch it, it'll brighten up your Monday.
We need that. All right. Thanks so much, Amy. Now let's go to Ginger with more on rain coming from the Midwest?
Yes, and unfortunately a place like Fredericksburg, Iowa that's had more than 10 inches of rain in just 24 hours. Galena, Illinois, you're seeing images from so many swollen rivers are going to get more rain. Severe storms too. We watch it as it moves Tuesday into Wednesday. Select Cities now brought to you by CarMax.
Turns out things aren't always what you think they are. Take guinea pigs. They're not pigs at all, nor are they from Guinea. Or take this haircut. I may look all business, but look out! There's a party going on back here. Kind of misleading, isn't it? Well, at CarMax, you don't have to worry about being misled. The price online is the same price in the store, which is the same for everyone, even guinea pigs. It's only fair, Mr. Biscuits. Only fair.
Well, today will be the last day of our heat wave. We'll top out around 92, feeling around 97. We could have a stray afternoon thunderstorm. I think more likely than not it will be dry where you are. The humidity trying to drop a smidge, but you'll really feel that lower humidity tomorrow with temperatures in the mid-80s. 87 Wednesday, maybe a stray storm Thursday. Next best chance for thunderstorms comes on Friday. And notice this weekend temperatures take a tumble back into the low to mid-80s. Maybe a passing shower on Saturday.
Coming up, that vacation nightmare, a young woman dying at a Mexican resort. Her family saying she was served tainted alcohol. Now more families coming forward with their horror stories.
And the new interview with Prince William and Prince Harry, what they're saying about Princess Diana as a mother, and what William tells his children about her.
There's nothing quite as magical as staying